Hey, Kiran, can you hear me? I hope so. Can anyone hear me?
Test, test. Hello.
Yep. Okay. Hey, Raymond.
Yeah. Let me turn up the volume. Okay. Okay. New tool.
Yeah.
I hope this is worth moving to. Is there a reason other than just they have it and they want to use it for this?
A process thing, like it's integrated. Like if we take the meeting minutes with the tool, so there's an icon at the top, note-taking tool. Then those get automatically imported and archived and everything. So like it's a kind of a tool thing.
Okay.
Yeah. I always from session to session I forget one aspect of the tool, and then yeah.
Okay. All right.
Let's give folks the say again.
I can't seem to. There's. Oh. Okay. There's my video. All right. Oh. Okay. Seems to be working.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. And I see Kay.
We
Hey,
have
Kay.
some folks on the other Zoom call, so I'll go and let them know to come onto this call. So I'll be back in a second.
Okay. Yeah, we should give folks a few minutes till they figure out on like. I hope everyone has seen my email. Did you guys see my email?
Yeah,
That's
I
just a
saw it.
reminder. Yeah, but it always takes a little bit of time to get used to everything. Hey, Carsten. Hey, Dick.
Yeah, the one thing I noted, Hannes, is that the what is it? ICS. If you go to the data tracker and then you choose to add the meeting using the ICS, it doesn't include a link to the meeting in it. It has the agenda and session notes or session materials, but not a link to the meeting.
Yeah, I included the link to the meeting in the agenda for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, but maybe that's also a hiccup. I don't know.
Yeah, I found that Hannes's link was fine. I think it was John's link that brought me to something that didn't look very helpful. But the other thing too, guys, is there a chat feature here? I don't see a chat feature.
Yeah, there is. It's on like on the left side of the screen. You see the sort of a bunch of people icon type of thing, and then there's sort of two bubbles that's supposed to indicate the chat panel.
Yeah, they're red. So just underneath where you share your audio and video,
yeah, exactly.
Two red bubbles and an exclamation point.
Yeah.
And if you hover over it, it says chat panel.
Yeah, I see it. So it's you either see the chat or the participants. Thank you.
Yeah. Cool. Hank is showing up as well. Now it's offline.
Oh.
What happened?
No.
Hank? Yes. Kay, did you log into the note-taking tool already?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Let's see.
Hank, can you hear us?
I'm trying it now. Notepad, open Notepad for this session. Okay. All right, so we can do things like add participants, or do we need to do that? Is that captured?
Well, we
through the tooling.
Good question. I think, Hank, do you know, are the participants captured automatically?
Hi, this is Henk. As far as I know, yes.
Okay.
So
Right, so
I can't remember scheduling a Meet Echo interim before. I think the last time I did it was with WebEx, so I wouldn't be entirely sure. I'm screen capping the attendee list just in case.
Okay.
Hank, when we like start in a minute, how do you prefer to do this? Are you planning to basically show the PR and explain us on what's going on there, or how do we do that?
Yeah, you were asking for slides, and I am both on vacation and totally booked for today, so I'm working for 6 hours already.
It's also fine. Maybe slides are not the right way to talk about the PR, because then we have to copy obviously text into the slide. But we could as well just look at the PR.
Exactly. So I think that's a fine thing to do. Screen sharing the PR.
Yeah.
And then we can go through that.
Let me try to give you the presenter, right?
No, I can't share. I'm on a tablet. No.
Then I could try to share screen. Do you really want to? Yes. Okay. Sorry. Try it again. Another try.
So on my side, it quickly triggers and then immediately stops again. So you're doing something, but it basically instantaneously ends.
Yeah. Maybe I need to switch to presentation view. Okay, I'll copy the link into the chat window so everyone knows what we are talking about. Sorry about this. We'll get there eventually.
Yeah, thank you. I saw the link that Dick sent. That was to the HackMD. Page.
Yeah. So this is the PR, and this was in the agenda. So I sent. Maybe I can. First of all, since we now most of us managed to actually get here in the meanwhile, and I see there's still some problems. It will be better next time. I would like to welcome you to this session of now called interim meeting of the SCITT working group. And we specifically want to talk about the use case document, the PR that Hank and Yogesh have been working on. As usual, this is an official IETF meeting, and there's actually the recording running, and there will be meeting minutes posted and all the good stuff. And so all the rules and the procedures of the IETF, including the note wells, apply to this meeting. So just keep that in mind. And now, if we go to that link, and I will keep trying to make sure that this somehow displays in some way. I will let Henk talk a little bit about what's happening with this PR and like what are the open issues, what can be improve, or whether anyone has any questions on this PR. Henk.
Okay, thank you, Hannes. So yeah, I took a little bit over the reins here for this document as Yogesh is PTO until the beginning of next year. And so yeah, we had a relatively young refactoring of the whole document, which Yogesh basically rewrote from scratch, including 2 exemplary use cases. In detail, these are called firmware delivery to large set of constrained IoT devices, and the other one was called that's me. No, that's also not correct. I'm looking at the diff and probably I can't see the other headings, so I'm sorry for that. So, but there were 2 use cases from Yogesh, basically structured into a generic overview, then into a leading into the actual use case, and then a problem summary. Why the problem summary was a list of bullet items always. So I tried to adhere to that structure, but it was very difficult for me to formulate additional use cases in that structure. So I was not waiting for my time that I scheduled with Dick to reword or rephrase his use case about the trust bond, the image to the email list, but try to get other use cases too in order to get an understanding how to phrase them and how to mostly adhere to Yogesh's template. So the results were 2 other use cases. One is called updated statements over time, and the statement literally means statement as used in the SCITT architecture. I think we had this rewording of statement, signed statement, and transparent statement. So these initial things that are signed in a claim, they are now basically changing over time. How would we deal with that? That's the first one. And the second one is about promoting software. So if you're not if the original place you're not getting software from the original place, but from a packager or from another website in the internet, how can you make sure that this is actually the thing you want to have? So that's the second use case. And this starts with very layman's words, a description with single sentences that actually go through a process of things happening, deliberately not using architecture language or terminology, but layman's terms, and then highlight how this works. So it really would help if you could look at the and Kieran is maybe trying that, is if you could look at the document itself, because otherwise I will start to explain what was written there. But these 2 examples help me to find a pattern. First of all, these selections have been done by me. They are not reviewed by others, or were not reviewed by others before. I think, meanwhile, they experienced some review from others, especially Brian, I think, made a whole swoop, but also others chimed in here and made small fixes to the text, so it's read by a few stakeholders, I assume. And then creating a feeling for how this could work. Dick and I took his use case and took an important part of it, which is called the trust bond, and made a very concise and crisp use case definition here as the very first use case in the PR now. So now, as a result, there are 3 relatively small layman terms use cases that illustrate a specific what does the customer want. So the consumer wants, and why is standardization needed for this? So I think that's pretty straightforward for me, and maybe when Yogesh comes back, we can find a compromise between the 2 styles that now exist, because the 3 first ones are different styles, but similar to Yogesh's one, and we can find a common ground. But I think the content is for these 5 use cases is there now. And we have to agree on how to actually mold it and phrase and massage it so they look comparable. Because I broke interoperability here. Sorry, I introduced a new format, but I really tried to use Yogesh's one. It was a tad bit hard for me, to be honest. So yeah, that's this current state from my point of view. Maybe Dick can a little bit elaborate on what he thinks of how well this worked out. Dick, if you have never used Migratu before, below your name on the top, there's a hand that is a strike through. If you unstrike your hand, so to speak, you are in the queue. And there's a microphone on the very right. You have to also get that activated next to the camera icon and such, and then you can, and then you're audible. So the moment you're in the queue, and you're audible.
Actually, now we can see Kieran's screen. So the screen to what Hank has been talking about. So fantastic.
Yeah.
Sorry, Dick, go ahead.
No, thank you, Hannes, and thank you very much to Hank. Hank, I think you captured this very concisely and as you said, crisply. And it is really one of the biggest problems we have today in the software supply chain is determining the trustworthiness and the trust bond between a supplier and a signer. And this is especially a problem when a user goes out and just downloads a package from the internet. They really have no way of knowing if the trust bond exists. So having the functionality that you described in that use case would go a long way to solving that problem. So well done, sir. Thank you.
That's great to hear. Hank, the firmware use case that's in there, is that the one from Monty, or maybe you mentioned it, but because a little further below there's
I don't think so. I think that is from Yogesh.
okay.
I think that's original content from that part of the world. No, I don't think that Monty made it in time here. Both attending and providing the use case he was talking about.
Okay, so maybe we need to then do some fine tuning later on to capture some of the maybe details that he had provided. I'm sure there are lots of different aspects about firmware, the firmware sort of distribution. Cool. So who has someone had the chance to look at this PR? I sent it out in the agenda and meeting invite, but I wasn't quite sure whether any one of you has had a chance already to look into the use case description and whether you're happy with it, or maybe you have suggestion for some new text.
I have not had a chance to look at it in detail yet, so just a cursory review. The format of it, the way that Hank has it broken out into the description and then what the consumer wants and then the need for standardization, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I have a follow-on question from that. I think we want to go from here, the use case description, to at some point creating a list of user requirements. I believe I saw that in maybe the suit use cases. Does that match with that? What's that?
Case? Yeah, the driving requirements from the use case obviously makes some sense. So it's different group.
That can be a second step once we've got all the use cases together. Then we can put together a consolidated list of requirements.
Yeah. True. Hank, you obviously have done a lot of work on this during the last week, which is fantastic. Charles, you just raised your hand. Do you want to say something?
Yes, I do actually. I guess I don't know if we're jumping in here or not, but
no, go ahead.
This is I'm new to Meet Echo and really don't understand how it works, to be honest. Is there a chat function in this?
You should see below your video icon. You should see. You can see it. Karen shows it on the screen. Yeah, there's always the risk of with the chat function that you get carried away and just you have essentially two meetings in one. If you actually, there's also a way to zoom out because otherwise you can't read it. So if there's an expand video button also at the kind of at the top of the screen.
I see buttons at the top. I don't see anything at the bottom.
Sorry, at the top of the screen. Yeah, so there's a expand video or full screen mode. Sort of.
I don't have those here for some reason.
That's strange.
This is on a Mac. I don't know if there's a.
Okay, maybe then the display is different. Yeah, but
where's the full screen and the expand? Sorry.
On my window, it's actually when you see the indication on who's speaking, it's right, left to that. Oh, it's next to it on the left side.
The box with an arrow going to the northeast.
No, actually,
Yeah.
no. Mine looks different.
Box with an arrow
maybe-
going to the northeast. I'm
Right
sorry to
below
be,
Karen,
behind the
below
curve
the-
here in this.
No, don't do this.
right below the number of participants.
Right below the number of participants. Well, I don't have that either.
Right
Oh,
there.
I don't
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah.
No,
there.
no. I was actually talking about something else, but it seems that
Okay.
the I use Firefox, so maybe it looks different there. But I can
Yeah.
I can zoom into the.
Actually, it
Just-
shows on mine,
Okay.
Hannah, exactly what you're saying. It's to the left of speaking. There's a little white box on the Windows client. It's actually just a browser client anyway.
Yeah.
It gives you the bit rate, and then it gives you the expand, and then there's a full screen mode.
Yeah.
You can't see it because you're presenting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have
Oh,
those.
now I
Sorry.
see it. Okay.
Okay.
I had to
have,
turn into, I wasn't in
There-
the right view.
There's
Yeah,
two
so-
expands. One for the person talking, in this case, Hannah, and there's another one in the mid section that says expand just the middle portion.
Okay. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. Cool. Okay. Yeah, we're learning new things all the time.
Yeah. Also, another quick question. Sorry to jump in on tooling. So I think it's Kieran who's sharing, and it looks like Kieran might now be in the notes view. I have been taking notes in a different document, and so I'm
Really?
wondering if there's. Yeah.
Which one?
Well, I'm not
There's,
sure. It just
um,
shows up.
Mm,
When I go to notes, it shows up and it shows my notes there. But I think when Kieran's in notes, he's not seeing the same thing I am.
For everyone to see it.
I wonder if I need to save or something.
No, normally that shouldn't. Like normally, if you go to the note-taking tool, that should do the job. Let me see what I can see.
Post the link to the.
I can see.
site.
I can see.
I just copied from my document
Oh,
over to
okay.
to the other one. So
Okay. thank
anyway,
you.
I'm not sure what happened there, but I'll try to use
Yeah,
this
that's.
other
I mean, this is
document.
kind of a significant change here. We probably should have orchestrated a little better. This tool is very, very different from the 3 meeting tools that I used all the time. And
Yeah.
Unfortunately,
got a lot of-
until you can get into the IETF, you don't get access to the Meet Echo. And as soon as you're IETF, then it's the way we have to work.
yeah, well, right, but I mean, that doesn't mean we have to,
Yeah.
be be complacent when things are not as good as other things. And by the way, also, I didn't have an IETF account until just now. I had to create one in order to get in the meeting, so I missed the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, I guess if we could maybe just have a little bit more, like I said, orchestration, we're going to have some kind of technology migration or whatever, that would be really helpful. Right now, I see nothing in the notes. I see no chat. I don't know if there's a malfunction on my side or if it's between the operator and the keyboard, but the chair and the keyboard. But I'm kind of hamstrung here in terms of the ability to contribute. So I do see the screen, and that at least is functional. But I have no expand function. I have no notes, and I have no chat. So
Yeah. But
I don't know.
I think we eventually will get there.
Okay, well, yeah, I
There's a little bit of a learning
confidence we
curve,
will. We've got a lot of smart people on the call here, and ITF is a well-established
Yeah.
organization, but I'm sorry to derail things, but I really
No,
can't
no,
participate where we are right now.
Yeah.
Maybe
But,
we can take just a second to see. So do you see the chat bubbles,
Nope,
Charlie?
I don't see anything.
So they don't show it also where Kieran is pointing right now, where it says chat panel. You don't see that on your screen.
Chat panel.
So if you look at, Kieran has a has his pointer, little finger pointer.
Yeah, I see. Kieran's screen is extremely different than mine.
Okay.
I mean, it's got some similarities, but that certainly the is. So if I, yeah, no, I don't see how I could open that. This doesn't seem to be a way.
Are there,
Okay.
Hannes, do
Can
we
you-
know, is there information about Meet Echo somewhere we can share with people?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
You know, like docs or,
I will look it up. Neil?
okay.
I guess we're there now. I'm just playing along with Meet Echo like everybody else. It looks nicely integrated to me and so on, but you know, it will take a little learning curve at least. Thanks.
Yeah, that definitely is. Definitely is. But at least like to take advantage of the full features, obviously it takes a little bit of time. But at least audio and now screen sharing is working, so that's already great. And
Yeah.
and I think what we also have, which is like the use case write-up that Hank was working on busily last week, like judging from the many commits he submitted. So that's also great. And if we jump back to that use case, Hank, what do you think is missing? Like besides the sort of how did you phrase it? Sort of misbalance between some of the use cases in terms of writing style, but like where do we go from?
Can I just close on that issue? Is there some place that I can get this info? Because honestly, it's kind of a pain in the neck.
Yeah, the PR. Yeah.
Yes, if somebody could forward me a link or something that talks about Meet Echo and how I get it to work with Safari and on the Mac, that would be fantastic. And with that, I will stand down, but I don't want to abandon that because otherwise I'm going to continue to be lost. So
Charlie,
thanks.
I
Over.
sent you Teams request. Do you want to share your screen over Teams so I can see what you're seeing?
Well, let's not do debugging here. But
yeah, I'm going to take it off.
Yeah,
I have another
because
question.
Nat posted some links, which I will post to the mailing list. Thank
I
you,
don't
Nat,
have those notes though, Hannes.
No problem. I will send a mail to the mailing list
thank you.
with the links that that Nat provided, because I'm actually like so there are obviously people who are more versed with Meet Echo than I am. So
yeah. Okay, I do have the notes. I clicked on the notes and it looks like they are open. So that works, but just again, don't want to derail this, but I do, need to just make sure that I'm technically functional here. So
cool.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, Roy, you have your hand up, and then Hank, and then Kieran.
So when I was writing my document, just putting down some of my thoughts, the one thing I question is whether there should be some statements of negative use. Like it'd be very easy to use hey, this product is no longer under support. You should go use the new one and charge you a $5.95 for the next version. Do we want to make any statement of saying, hey, this should not be used for marketing purposes or to drive revenue? Like, how do you normally handle that, Hannes?
Good question.
Or maybe we just leave it as a question and we research into it to see how we handle that. Okay.
So it's a potential new use case. Is that right, Roy? So.
Well, it's a question if I don't want it to be used as a way to drive revenue. Like you release version 2, you shouldn't be able to say, hey, version 1 is no longer safe. You must use version 2 and force you to spend money when there's nothing wrong with the last version. Like it would be basically what do we want by convention to do?
I see almost like I don't know, Hank. Do you want to pile on to that question, or is it a different topic?
I'm on a different topic, but I think we are mixing. Actually, the topic that is that I brought up is mixing use case terrain with what's the policy on how to how our specification text is used that we're creating here, and I think both are kind of in that realm. I don't know. We have to talk more about that. That is, I think, a good topic to not lose track of. So that should go into the minutes. And everybody is also, by the way, free to add to the minutes. Right? We have official minute takers. If you think something is missing, just write in there.
I'm trying to keep up, but I'm kind of
Yeah,
listening.
and
and learning
HK apparently. Exactly. So this is an interesting chaos session. So please bear with us. Situations will improve, and having back channel conferences that basically one-on-one explain how this works is one thing to do. We can also set up a training session and then screen share around that. That I think that's absolutely fine to do, especially when we are approaching up to the Christmas days. Maybe the schedule is a little bit less strained, and we have time for like a test session. Whoever wants needs some introduction and guidance, whatever. So, but I wanted to actually reply to Hannes's question. That was, do you think anything is missing here? And I think yes. At the very least, I think missing is because the consumer in all the use cases is literally what we would intuitively see as a consumer of software here. The customer buying something, installing something. We have another consumer, that's the auditor. I think there must be at least one auditing use case, and somewhere that. And then I personally think we sometimes have interesting problems like not only that things have to be auditable after the fact, so that's an auditor, maybe one or two auditor use cases, but also we have an infrastructure use case, especially in high critical systems. That's air gap scenarios. How do you validate something when everything goes through a service? Do you have to be online all the time, or can we mitigate it somehow? I think that's a very, especially from critical infrastructure, that's a they want to, all the accountability shall be there, but oh no, online it shall not be. I must have it with me here right now. So there must be this air gap problem sometimes, and I think there's no use case for that at the moment. And I think that's strongly related how to get all the data that we want to produce here. And I think that might yield some interesting requirements also. So yes, I would say there are one or two auditor use cases missing and one infrastructural one.
Are you planning to add those use cases, or is someone else working on them?
Yeah, I'm planning to add on this. I signed up for December, and we are only in second week. So yeah, I'll do that. I will start that, and then everybody can bash them until they look fine. You know, that's the way. This is the way.
That sounds good. Well, so far I have heard a lot of positive things regarding the use cases. Of course, it's not complete yet, but any other comments, like maybe some, yeah, like Ori, have you had a chance to? Well, you have looked at earlier versions of the use cases, but probably not the ones that Hank was working on most recently, right? You are muted.
There we go. I have looked at the most recent versions. It looks good. I left only like one comment on it. I'd be in favor of taking a bit more frequent merging schedule for some of these things to kind of get them into more editorial shape. I know, at any point with GitHub, you have a full history of the revisions of the document. And when you do a full read through, you could, object to content that had been added and file an issue, and we could discuss it as a group. But I think, at the early stages of a document like this, it'd be helpful to merge a little bit more frequently, just so that we can get some basic structure in place. So that would be, I think the changes look good to me. I'd be eager to see them merge, because it's easier to do a review of a smaller pull request. When the pull requests are this large, you don't get very good reviews from the community. So that's it.
Thanks, Ori. Yeah. Dick?
So one other use case I'd hope we can get to at some point, I would entertain Hank's help with this, is using an app store use case where you can use the SCITT registry to check the trustworthiness of an app before installation. That's another case, and we see a lot right now. Of course, TikTok is getting a lot of attention due to the lawsuit that's underway with Apple and Google. But I think this is another potential use case where SCITT has a solution. Thanks.
Dick, sorry, can you repeat that again? So it's use an app store to check what?
Yeah, here's the deal, Kay. So when you go to an app store and you do a search and you get a list back, you don't know which of those apps are trustworthy. And so some indicator of trust would be very helpful. And maybe just a button that says, go to SCITT, the SCITT registry, and tell me if there's any trust for this app. That's the scenario I'm thinking about. So people, today people use a like button, but you can imagine where something like a notary function would examine an app and then file a trust declaration for that app in a SCITT registry, which we could link to the app stores, so that anyone could say, looking at an app, press a button and say, is there a trust declaration in the SCITT trust registry for this app? Thanks. Hopefully that's clear enough.
Yeah, I had a question on that, but I can't tell if other people have their hands up.
Yeah, they are. Hank is next.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to reply to Ori real quick and say I hear you. At the moment, so that's where I'm coming from. I'm coming from the point that I inherited a PR from Yogesh. I'm purely German, very polite, so I did not mess with it. I branched from Yogesh's branch, so this is a branch of a branch. And yeah, I can pull everything back together into main if we find if there's nobody is like objecting here. I think that it doesn't have to be a consensus call on the list, because we're all authors. I just was too hesitant to mess with things that Yogesh left, and when he comes back, everything is changed, But if it's for readability, it's easier. We can I can merge my branch into Yogesh's branch and merge that into main, and then we can go from there again. That is not an issue. So we're actually at a stable state. I can remove the draft portion of the PR, and literally someone else can then merge it and can approve it. That's fine. If there's no objections here right now.
Yeah, thank you. I think like from the feedback so far, I think that's what you should be doing to actually, because then it will be readable, better readable. And people then we will add on to that and see where that goes. Hopefully soon. Ori?
Understood. Thanks.
Okay, so there was a decision there to merge it.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to. So like this is not a working group document at this point in time. Like we want to get it into state. So I think it's totally fine to agree in this call since there was positive feedback. So I'm happy that Hank spent all the work to clean this up and to get it to sort of the next level. So let's do that. Ori.
I queued to respond to Dick's comment about app stores and trust registries, and I think the implied to some degree in his comment is that SCITT is a single registry, and that's definitely not how I view SCITT. SCITT is a technology for building transparency services, which there could be many of them, and I think we should be anticipating there being several of them at a minimum. And whether an app store platform from a major technology company would use one of these things in their app store software is sort of that's for them to decide. We're here to build a particular set of drafts and documents at IETF that provide standard interoperable building blocks for folks who are building those kinds of things. And so I think thinking about what the kind of consumer brand feeling that comes on top of these standards is definitely excellent work, but maybe best handled outside of IETF. That's it.
Charles?
Allow my microphone to be used again. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, beautiful. Yeah, so I guess Ori stated it, I think, pretty well. I agree that whether it's an app store or whatever the individual, end user use case is, the specifics of it, I think we do have it captured in the use case document right now, and we could probably generalize to the point that we need to. And again, I think Ori's got a pretty good point about, this may not be just one registry, it might be several, and therefore that might be out of the scope of the use case. So I would advocate +1 for Ori. I think we're okay in the use case spec as I read it.
Okay. Dick.
Thank you, Hannes, and thank you, gentlemen. No, I appreciate where you're coming from. And my proposal is really just based on observations from existing supply chain type of experiences that we are seeing. So I'm not really suggesting that SCITT be a one-way street that and we are trying to bias it in some way. But what I hope to do is raise some awareness as to the supply chain use cases that exist today, in the hope that some of the SCITT work will enable us to solve some of those problems. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess I hear you guys all sort of agreeing with each other on sort of the distinction between like what is the enabling building block and what's the actual specific deployment sort of circumstances. And I would say like if one sector, let's say these mobile phone sort of providers want to offer that capability, they can do that, and that would be, of course, great from a deployment.
If I may, I'd like to add that I put into the chat essentially the use case that I'm describing was described by one of our FCC commissioners in the Apple Google antitrust lawsuit that's going on with TikTok right now. So this is actually a really good example of a supply chain issue that we see from the App Store. So this is not theoretical. This is something that is real today, and it's causing problems, and the solution is in order. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. That's obviously always insightful. Hank, how are you doing with the sharing? The merging? Sorry. Is that done? Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Just crashed on me. So
okay.
No. So Brian just approved the PR. I opened it for merge. I can merge it right now. I just put into the chat that we can still look at it, but maybe that's just not necessary. I merge it into Yogesh's one, and then I will merge it with mine, and you will be seeing it in a minute.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised that you guys are so aligned on these use cases. I'm sure there's more editorial work and adding things here and there, but that's excellent news. So Monty is not here, so we can't discuss his specific firmware use case that he had in mind. But maybe we should also spend a few minutes talking about what to do in the upcoming meeting. What specifically to focus on, because there's always I need to send out the agenda ideally today, latest tomorrow, and so that people can actually prepare and get sort of read into, or whoever is driving the discussion, he needs to have also a possibility to maybe put some slides together if appropriate, or do something else, right? We have the, okay, someone wanted to say something.
We also talk about, sorry to jump in, so I'm taking notes, and so I'm not keeping very good track of whose hands up. Should we also talk about, should we meet, like how many people will be available in the next couple of weeks, and should we meet, or essentially when is our next meeting?
Yeah, we so the secretary sent out the meeting for the next Monday, so we have still one next Monday, but then I think and I need to double check the full list, but then we have basically a break, if I'm not mistaken. Let me check.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe 2 weeks break, and then the next one's
that
on
was
January
intentional,
9th.
because I think everyone needs to have a break as well. I just can't find the tab of the meetings now. I sent it to the list, but of course now it's gone. Sorry about this. So, okay, latest use case. What we could also do is, like, we had received the request from the SIG store people about the liaison, to invite them to one of those meetings to have a discussion with us, or with a presentation, maybe an update on where they are, just to sort of like talk about their stuff. I think that would be also useful time spent.
Could we do that one in, so I'll be out next week, and I think a few others will, so I'm wondering if we could possibly queue that one up for the 12th of December. I mean, whoops, I'm not saying that right. Apologies, that's today. The January 9th.
Yeah. Like, we obviously need to give them some time as well. I think they would be surprised if I asked them for presentation next week.
Oh, right.
We need to
Yeah.
put together that material and etc. So, the other thing, like, we have now, Hank submitted the architecture document as a 0.0 working group document. So, needless to say that there are a lot of issues open. Doing a round of review and making some progress on the architecture document would of course be useful as well, because that's kind of lays out the foundation, and specifically having a better understanding of the use case, double checking then the architecture is going to be useful. How is that?
A question on that. So I've been thinking, and maybe my thinking is too linear, so people can check me on this. But if I go with the linear idea, it feels like if we have the use cases, the problem summary, then we do the customer requirements, and then we go back to the architecture document. It feels like a natural sequence to me. So then we can say, okay, does the architecture document cover all the requirements? If not, do we need to add new things to meet those requirements?
Yeah. Well, that would be excellent if someone or more than one could take a first attempt to write down those requirements out of the use cases we already have.
We still need to make progress on terminology too.
Good point. The terminology is also something we we had a discussion the other day, and I've got the impression, like, for some of the terms we are a little bit all over the map, but for others it looks pretty good. So do you think there's a possibility to actually drive some of those terminology discussions home, maybe even on a mailing list till, let's say, the next week? It's in some sense like not very complicated, but of course there's a lot of conflicts, like conflicts with other terms used in RADs and who knows what other groups, DCG and etc. etc. So like it's difficult. So there's no right or wrong in some sense. It's just what is the preference of the group ultimately? Hank.
Yeah, so I would like to repeat a mantra of the IETF here: parallelize and not sequentialize. Serialize, sorry. So it's basically, yeah, if you feel you can contribute to a document, don't feel inhibited by a sequence. So you can always open a PR on any type of document we have here visible, adapted or not. It's all reflected on IETF-SCITT or IETF-WG-SCITT at some point. I actually don't know yet. I put IETF-WG-SCITT as a reference into for GitHub organization into the architecture, for example, but I haven't checked for now if that's actually existing. So it might just be broken link at the moment. So, but having said that, no, I think we can focus, have a primary focus on the software use cases. So if you need guidance where to focus on, go to the software use cases. And if you find something weird in the terminology or want to clean that up, I think there's still this this sequence of how we refine messages from the actual product we are talking about. Then there's some of this thing that you talk about the product and you sign it, and then you make it more visible via transparency and integrity services. So these are where we are circling always a little bit around these terms. If we can set those better, then I think early other texts will be also more consistent. So I have to agree with Roy here that there are some things we really should settle on. The verifier and distinguishing it from REDS verifier, that we can churn on later. I think that is not a problem. But the message and the most important roles, I think, they should be have a working thesis status that is kind of okay and agreed upon. So that discussion, I assume, has to be driven on the list.
Roy, is that something you could try to drive on the mailing list to see whether we get anywhere with this?
Sure. I suspect, I think we want to make another round on the use case. I would sure love to see another use case to try and pull out some commonality. I've stated this before. Having one use case kind of doesn't tell us where we're going to have conflict. We understand the rats one, but the use case ones are concerning to me, that we go off and reserve words that are going to cause us problems later.
Mm.
But
Yeah,
I'll drive that.
Yeah, that would be great. Specifically, since you seem to have something in your head already, and basically just need to dump it into a sort of a pull request. But I also liked Kay's idea of like already now like deriving some of the requirements and then seeing like are we actually capturing everything, like specifically going forward, like we work on the various solutions, like what is there something missing coming out of those software use cases? And maybe there's not, and that's great. That's a positive confirmation that the stuff that was worked on previously on the architecture document is just covers it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to drive out, probably leverage some folks on my team, but we can work on the customer requirements. People are going to be out for the next couple of weeks, so it'll come along in January.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that may take some time. So I'm wondering if we manage to get some of those additional use cases we talked about done by next Monday and have a discussion of those. And ideally, they are in a state that we could actually dump it into the main branch of the directory of the GitHub repo. Right.
I've asked this before. So the use cases are basically how we view the product or the components. What we're building in the working group are building blocks to help us build those things. What do we put in the requirements? Only for the building blocks, or are we putting requirements in for the for the whole use case. Like we haven't even lassoed what parts of the use case belong to the working group.
Yeah, we. I would put the requirements for the building blocks, not for everything, because otherwise we have a list of requirements which we are then basically have to declare outside the scope of the work. But having requirements for the technology that's already described in the architecture document would be good as a confirmation of how this works. And in some sense, like there's the SCITT document does this that we talked about. Also, like there are a couple of examples. Also, the SUIT documents do that. The functionality in, for example, the SUIT manifest doesn't fall from the sky. It basically derived from the various different requirements, and there's threads as well. We don't. Yeah, obviously, having a list of threads would be useful as well. Henk, you raised your hand.
Exactly. So yeah, coming back to your question, can we have something substantially added next week? Yes. I'm just saying yes right now. It might not be as cool as this round, but I try to capture what I raised here in this meeting and go from there next week.
Okay, then maybe that's what we should put on the agenda for next week. This how should I label this? These additional use cases, and we can take a first stab, and or various people who raise their hands can give it a try and see how that works out, and whether they have some text that we could discuss. Obviously, since nobody has seen them before, so there may be some discussion. And thanks for merging. I saw that you posted the link of the document now in the chat window, which leads to some nice rendering. So I hope that will give others also a chance to read through it, maybe print it and then read through it. Yeah, looks good to me. Good. Okay. It was a bumpy start, this meeting, but I hope next time, first of all, you are joining, and because we had planned these meetings with just using different tools beforehand, now we use a new tool, not a big deal, and we just try to make some progress before we all disappear or many of us, probably not everyone, in their vacation time. Any other things anyone wants to raise?
Hey, Hannes. So I shared the meetings link that you had sent out like on Friday, right, with all the SCITT working group meetings. I just put it on the chat.
Okay.
You can go and add that meeting to your calendar so that next time you'll have a reminder on your calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to note that the link to the Meet Echo, it doesn't come in those ICSs, so you'll still need to pay attention to the agenda that Hannes sends out when he includes the link.
Yeah, but I'm going to
because
update
there's a separate link
yeah.
for each meeting. Sorry to interrupt, Hannes.
No, I was saying I'm going to update the agenda. I hope that this is then immediately reflected into the list that Kieran sent around. So if you click on it, of course, or not, of course. Actually, I should check. So if I update it and you may you imported that beforehand, maybe it's a link to the agenda, or if it's the actual agenda, then obviously you just have an old version of the agenda. That's unfortunate, but yeah, since we just talked about it, you know it
maybe
anyway.
when I imported the ICS, it had an old version of the agenda.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Yeah. So I don't know about that. We'll figure it out. And yeah. But thank you. Thank you all for joining, and thank you for the patience, even though we had some technical issues at the beginning. So talk to you
Thanks,
next week,
Hannes.
and thanks particularly Hank for doing all the work in the preparation of the use case. So I think we are better off than at the start of the meeting. Cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Take care, everyone.
Goodbye.
Bye.
See you after the holidays.
Good stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil.
Take care.